What's up, everybody? How are you guys doing? How's everybody's day going today? Happy Saturday. Angel, how you doing? Ashura, Exilla, how you guys all doing? How's everybody's day going? How's everybody's day going? How's the audio sound? Are you guys able to hear me pretty well? Today's live stream. Oh, jeez, dude, my cat, bro. Just walking near the mic. I might have to kick her out. Um, yeah, hold up. Yo, chill. Bro, she's always doing something, dog. Um, yeah, you guys, today this live stream won't actually have background music in the first main portion of it, because I'm actually going to try something different with this live stream. An idea I have, I'm going to take like the highlights from this stream and like condense it into an actual video. Like I'll use the words I say in this stream as like audio to another video that I'm working on. So it was just an idea I wanted to try out. So this one actually won't have background music in it because I'm gonna add that in later when I'm like editing the audio. But um, but yeah, let me know like how my voice is coming through. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Oh, Angel, you said yeah, audio's good. Okay, sick. Exilla, you said love the mysteriousness of the Dark Continent. It is pretty interesting. Codename Zero, earliest I've been to a stream. Welcome to the stream, bro. It's 1 a.m. for you, Ashura. That is pretty wild. Eldon, what's up, man? R3, hello. You said happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to you too. Phantom Wait, what's up? He said bro thinks he's an idea haver. Suki, what's up? How's it going, everybody? Okay, so today we're going to be talk like here. Hold up. Let me just go over to the first slide here. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about how strong is Gon in the most recent chapters of Hunter x Hunter. There's a couple different ways to interpret like how powerful this current version of Gon could actually be. We were left on one of the craziest one of the craziest cliffhangers that I've actually ever seen in any shonen manga that I've ever read or watched. Um, with like this panel here of Gon saying that he couldn't use Nen. We get a bit more of a discussion with Jing, but it doesn't really explain everything. It's still left a little bit vague. Um, and you know, here's something else to just consider. This chapter right here, this one, and then this one, this was released 11 real life years ago. 11 real life years ago, chat. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to scroll through this whole thing to just show you that. Right here, bro. This chapter 345, it was released June 30th of 2014. And honestly, bro, I remember when this chapter came out. I'm pretty sure as soon as this chapter dropped, it went on a hiatus. And I remember reading comments from people saying, "Hey man, don't worry about it. Don't worry that there's going to be a hiatus. I'm sure we're going to get like an answer to this soon." Like there was so many people saying stuff like that. Well, like, yeah, don't worry, guys. Like, this isn't that big of a deal. I'm sure they're gonna resolve this cliffhanger soon. I'm sure Gon's gonna have his Nen back in the next couple of chapters. I'm sure Gon's gonna be training again in the next couple of chapters. Well, this was literally 11 real life years ago, and Gon. We still have nothing else. We still have actually genuinely nothing else. So like before I even get started in like talking about like how powerful this current version of Gon is, for because people have asked me in the chat before, they asked me like what is your favorite manga. I always tell them it's One Piece. This is the reason why it's not Hunter x Hunter. This is actually the reason. It's because in my opinion like that is such a crazy cliffhanger. And really all it would take to resolve it is just about 3 panels. Like there's so many easy ways you could resolve this in 3 panels. But over the last 11 years, we have not gotten those 3 panels. So this is like literally the last you get to see of the main character in the current story. So like to me, that is the reason why Hunter x Hunter is not my favorite manga. I love the series. I'm very grateful for like the work that's been produced up until this point. But for anyone who like has not heard me say that before, this is the main reason why Hunter x Hunter isn't my favorite series, because it's straight up on an 11-year cliffhanger. So it's pretty wild. But based on the based on the things that we've seen in the series so far, you can actually create like a low, medium, and highball scale for how powerful this current version of Gon is. And you can make some interpretations about what actually happened to Gon. Why is he saying these things? We don't have the official 100% for certain answer, but you can make interpretations. You can make inferences based off of what we know about Nen so far and what Gon is like saying these Nen symptoms are. Basically, you can kind of like figure out what's going on. Angel, you said might just stay off Hunter x Hunter until 2030 and see how far it's gotten. Bro, yeah, I mean, imagine if you were reading this weekly like back when I was, because I remember when this chapter came out. There are people who said, you know what, I'm not going to read this for the next 10 years. By then, maybe Gon will have his Nen back. They came back 10 years from now, he still doesn't. Can you imagine like how you would feel? It's a very, very wild situation here. But it is what it is. At this point, I just want Togashi to be a healthy, happy person. So that matters more to me than Gon getting his Nen back. But this is just the 100% reason why this is not my favorite manga. But all right, so let's talk about it. So this panel here that we see with Gon, what I have on the left is the official Viz manga translation. And what I have on the right is the fan translation. So the Viz manga translation makes it, gives you one interpretation. Here, I'll just explain it real simply at the beginning, and then as we go through the slides, I'll go more in detail about why I'm saying these things. So there's two different possibilities for what happened to Gon. Option one is that all of the aura nodes in his body are closed, so he still has aura, but he can't use any Nen techniques like Ten, Ren, Ko, Gyo, any of that stuff. That's one interpretation. And that would be like the lowest lowball version of Gon. In that case, he's like somewhere relative to Hunter Exam's Arc Killua, if that's the case. And then the highest highball interpretation of Gon is that he actually still has all of his Nen abilities that he had back in the Chimera Antarc. He's actually stronger than he was back in the Chimera Antarc because of the battle experience he gained from fighting the Royal Guards and using a real life-risking conditional Nen for the first time. But just the aura nodes in his eyes are closed. So he can still use Nen, but he just can't see it. So it's like, it's either that low ball interpretation or the high ball interpretation. It's one or the other. There's also a wild card. There could be a possibility that maybe Gon has all of his powers plus more, but there's some weird condition set from Nanika's ability. And that some unknown condition. That's why Gon can't see his Nen. That's like the wild card option. But I think either option one or option two are the more likely options. So I'm having them as the low ball or the high ball. All that being said, we don't actually know because, like I said, 11 years have gone by and we've gotten no more information on this at all over those 11 years. So I'm just going to go in detail and explain to you the low ball and the high ball, okay? So here, this is Gon like trying to use Nen of some kind. This is actually pretty interesting because it backs up the idea that Gon trains his abilities off screen. And that's actually backed up by a couple of things throughout the story, such as like Gon going from barely able to use scissors to being able to chop chimera ants into pieces with it, to him like learning how to suddenly charge rock while running. Like these kind of things imply that Gon trains off screen, and like just seeing Gon do this on his own while Killua was not there, it kind of backs that idea up even further. But the dialogue that Gon's saying here is really important to analyze, so we'll talk about that in a moment here. Okay, so here, and just keep in mind the left-hand side is the Viz manga translation, the right-hand side is the fan translation. So here, this is Gon calling Ging. He's calling Ging and he's telling him the situation that he's dealing with. He's saying that he doesn't have any aura, and Ging says, "No, you had it when you were with me. You probably can't see it anymore." Okay? You probably can't see it anymore. This is the official translation of it. Now, if that's all that there was, then the answer would just objectively be what happened to Gon is that he has all of his powers, but the aura nodes and his eyes are closed, and that's it. But the next couple pages make it seem like all of the aura nodes throughout his whole body have been closed because of what he says here. If you look at the left-hand panel, he says when he met Jing, he was no longer able to feel Jing's aura at all. So not only could Gon not see aura, he couldn't feel it either. That's that's like close to the language of somebody who has had all the aura nodes in their body closed. If you go through Heaven's Arena, they talk about how every like living person has aura, like naturally has aura anyway. But being able to manipulate your aura, use Hatsu abilities, use Ten, Ren, all of that. To do that, you need to have your aura nodes opened. Okay. So one way you can do that is like through meditation. You can learn to sense aura and have your aura nodes opened naturally that way. That's something that Wing states he thinks Gon and Killua would be able to do within days, but Wing's estimates are like way too big. They actually most likely would have been able to do it in a single day, maybe hours, and I'll back that up later. But another thing worth considering is that even while Gon had his aura nodes closed in the start of the series, he could still sense when people used Ren. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting. It's like right now this current... Oops, my fault. Right now, this current version of Gon, would he be able to sense somebody doing Ren, or is something else happening? We don't actually know. Okay, it's an unknown area, but that's why it's like we really do. It would just be great if we just had a couple more panels explaining what actually happened. But I'm just going to give you all the information we have at the moment, so that way you guys can choose what interpretation you like the best, either the low ball or the high ball. Okay, so. This is Wing after he like hits Gon and Killua with a blast of aura. He opens the aura nodes in their entire body and their eyes at the same time. And if you look at the right hand panel, this is Wing saying the aura nodes in your eyes have been opened. That's why you can see aura now. And if you go back here with Gon, Jing is saying you had aura, you probably just can't see it. That's telling you at the very least the aura nodes in his eyes are closed. Okay, so the reality is, guys, it's one of two things. From what we know in the story, it's either all of the aura nodes in Gon's body are closed, or just the aura nodes in his eyes are closed. It's one or the other. Those are the two most likely scenarios, because Jing says that he still has aura. The official translation, the Viz manga translation, it seems to lean more towards the idea that all of the aura nodes in his body have been closed, based on him saying he just straight up couldn't feel Jing's aura at all. But on the right hand panel, this is where you see this is where it's more ambiguous, because he gives the excuse of, when I met Jing, I was totally out of it, and I had just returned to normal and wasn't able to feel Jing's aura. So it kind of gives like an excuse as to why he didn't notice Jing's aura. The excuse could be he was just so out of it from all the crazy things he had just experienced, and that was kind of the excuse for not being able to feel Jing's aura. Meanwhile, in the left-hand panel, the official translation, that excuse isn't as strong. Okay, so another thing is, if you pay attention to the dialogue that Gon says here, in the fan translation, he's saying like he can't release any aura. Like, releasing aura is an act of manipulating it. It's similar to Ren. He's trying to do some kind of Nen ability and he just can't do it. And then Jing is saying, what, you're not able to release aura? No, you were doing that just fine when you were with me. So like in the fan translation, that kind of implies that like when Gon was with Jing, not only did he have aura, he was like able to use aura while he was with Jing. So like I said, we don't actually have an official answer to this stuff. We don't. And like I said, it's been 11 real life years since this chapter even came out, and we still don't have an answer as to what exactly happened with Gon. So whichever interpretation you like better, if you like the lowball interpretation where all the aura nodes in Gon's body are closed, then just believe that one. If you like the highball interpretation where it's just the aura nodes and Gon's eyes are closed, but he still has all of the power he had in the Chimera Antark plus more, then believe that one. The end of the day, you're free to just believe whichever one you want, because it's been 11 years and we still have no more information other than this. Okay? So, yeah. Now, here's something to consider. I'll skip all this stuff. There is a multitude of ways for Gon to just have all of his abilities back pretty much instantly. For one, if Gon is just hit by a Nen attack, he will immediately get all of his power back. Even if you wanted to say all of his aura nodes were closed, if Gon is just hit by a Nen attack, something that he survived in Zetsu way at the very beginning of the series, a weaker Gon survived it in Zetsu. If he's just hit by a Nen attack, or if like Killua just like hits him with an emission of aura, he would immediately, within seconds, awaken all of his aura again. It would literally take seconds because he's already done it before in that exact same manner. Another thing to consider is that Gon could just reopen all of the aura nodes on his own if he just meditates for a day at most. If he might even be able to do it in a few hours, based on just how bad Wing was at estimating Gon's overall potential and talent. Wing said that it would take you days to awaken aura using the slow meditation method, and then the next chapter he said it would take him 5 years to beat Gedo. He literally beats Gedo in 1 day. So I mean, based on that, it's like Wing's estimations for how talented Gon and Killua were just horrible. It was way below what they actually were. So if Wing said it would take Gon 5 years to do something, it took him 1 day. And so if he's saying it will take you days to do something, he might have been able to do it in hours. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah, this is just the wish that healed Gon. Just real quick, this also backs up the idea of what I was saying earlier. It would literally take 3 panels to have Gon, to have this whole situation with Gon remedied. Literally 3 panels. Like, I was thinking about it. So think about it like this. Think about it like this, guys. The chapter where Gon says that he couldn't use Nen, that came out 11 years ago. And from then until now, we have gotten 65 chapters. We've gotten 65 chapters. Not a single panel of Gon. And literally, this is all it would take. If you just had one panel of Gon meditating, he's surrounded by aura. The next panel, Gon says, I feel stronger than I did back then. And it's like a mini picture of him in Chimera Antark. And then the third panel is him charging up rock. That's it. That's all you would need. That remedies the entire thing. And then people who've read the series deeply, like the way a lot of us have, we'd be able to piece together, oh yeah, he used the meditation method to reawaken his aura nodes, and he has more strength than he did back in the Chimera Antark. That's all it would actually take. It would literally take 3 panels. And in 11 years we haven't gotten that. So just one more time repeating it, this, for anyone who's asked me in the chat, for anyone who's asked me why is Hunter x Hunter not your favorite manga, that is why. That is why. Nick, it's pronounced Gon. Yeah, dude, I used to pronounce it like Gon, but if you go back and watch my Gon versus Killua video, there's comments with 500 likes just laughing at me saying Gon. So I said, all right, screw you guys. I'll just say Gon instead. Snailium, you said just 1 chapter in the new batch with Gon would be good to touch base. I don't even need a chapter, bro. It would literally take 1 page. But like I said before, I've just kind of reached the stage of acceptance when it comes to will Gon get his abilities back? Will we ever see Gon again? I don't think we will. In my mind, maybe it could happen, but in my mind, I don't think it will. I just think you know what? Hunter x Hunter is a completed series. This is all we'll get so far. So that's just kind of how I accept it. Okay. Now here's a couple other things. Gon, after being healed by Nanika, he speaks to Kite again, and he says that last time when you fought Pito, I was too weak to help you, but next time I'll stand by you. Okay, so here's a lot of things to consider here. For one, it's Gon saying that he's going to get stronger. He's going to get strong enough to stand side by side with Kite and fight powerful opponents. That's if you lowball it. Another way of viewing it is this is Gon saying, eventually I'm going to be strong enough to fight side by side with you and beat people as powerful as Pito. And Gon is somebody who tends to keep his promises because he's just an extremely stubborn character. Also, he has some dialogue talking to Jing saying like, this happened because you were too weak. Just make sure that doesn't happen again. And he says, okay, I won't. So it's like these are different things saying that that Gon will get stronger, and he's made promises about it. This heavily implies that he will just awaken Nen again and just become powerful again. Another thing is if you look at the right-hand panel here, Killua tells Gon that his sister was the one who saved him. And he tells Gon that his sister has the ability to grant any wish. So Gon literally knows that. And Gon has Killua's phone number. That's what's said right here. Like, they'll be texting each other while Killua's out on this journey with Aluka. So literally, like, it's literally this simple. He could just text Killua, say, hey, bro, I can't see my Nen right now. Can you tell Aluka to fix it? He'll be like, all right, bet. And then just like 1 second later, he has his Nen back. He could literally just do that. Like I said earlier, it would take like 3 panels to remedy the solution. There's so many ways for Gon to get his Nen back. It's actually crazy that 11 years have gone by and we have no more info. Like here's just a speed run of all the ways. Either he meditates for like a couple hours to a day, he'd get it back like that. He gets hit by 1 Nen attack, he would instantly get it back like that. Or he just texts Killua and asks Killua to fix it, and it would be back like that. Also, another thing is Gon talks to Killua and says like they're going to reunite after Killua like spends some time with his sister. They're going to meet back up again. And Gon throughout the entirety of the series has been very competitive with Killua. It's 100% out of character for him to not get his Nen back. 100% out of character, because like there's no way that they're going to hang out with each other and Gon's just going to be okay with Killua capable of doing a lot of things he's not when they've been so close in power the whole series. He's not going to just let that happen. He'll be like, hey, bro, I just need my Nen back. Like, fix it up real quick. Use your Dragon Ball's sister to just fix it. It'll be like, all right, bet, here you go. Or just, hey, hit me with a Nen attack so I can use Nen again. Anything, you know. Or, hey, wait, let's chill for like 5 hours. Let me meditate and get my Nen back. Like, there's literally no way Gon won't get it back. Because it's just completely out of character for him to, like, not want to be competitive with Killua. Completely out of character. Ashura, it's not going to take a week, bro. Yeah, Ashura, you said he's getting Nen back in a week. Bro, it's not taking a week. Because, like, Wing said it would take him days. And the same Wing said it would take him 5 years to beat Guido. Guido was the guy with the tops. The moment Gon learned Ren, he literally just beat him without taking damage. If Wing is telling you, like, just really think about how off Wing was with that. Yo, Neo, what's up? Just really think about it. Like, he said, this is something that's going to take you 5 years to do, Gon. Gon does it in 1 day. Like, how much of a difference is that? He was off by thousands of days. And then he tells Gon, okay, you guys, it's going to take you days to awaken Nen. If you just meditated, it would take you days. Divide that by 1,000. He might do it in minutes, bro. So like, he might literally do it in minutes. So I mean, the fact that he doesn't have his Nen, like we don't see him using Nen yet, is just wild. It's the main reason why this is not my favorite manga. Okay, anyway, here's another thing to talk about real quick. Shane, you said I'd give it 7 years until Gon gets his Nen back. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, in my mind, I've just accepted that this is the current state of Hunter x Hunter, and I just want Togashi to be healthy. So in my mind, if we don't get any more chapters ever again, I'm just okay with that. But it's just like it's like if Hunter x Hunter had just kept going this whole time, it probably would be my number one manga. But right now, it might be like my number four, bro. It might be like my number four. Because this is just a big flaw in the writing. Just because there were so many ways to fix it. But anyways, here's this scene here. These are something you can use to talk about, like, and use as you can use this to argue the highball interpretation of this version of Gon, that he actually does have his aura still, and he just can't see it. These are some scenes you can use to argue that. We see here where he climbs the world tree. So we actually get details about like how tall the world tree is and how fast Gon climbs it. So here, if you read this panel here on the right, this explains to you how people climb the world tree and how tall it actually is. So to climb the world tree, you like walk up to this platform. The platform is 500 meters into the sky. And then the total height of the world tree is 1,784 meters. So, once you get to the 500-meter mark, you have to climb on your own, just scaling it vertically. That's roughly 1,000, almost, it's 1,284 meters that you have to climb to get to the top, and almost no one ever does it. But that's about 4,000 feet, like a little bit more than 4,000 feet, almost a mile straight up, and it's taller than like any building in the real world. And Gon says that it took him 20 minutes to climb 4,000 feet straight in the air, and he does it easily, like he's not even tired when he reaches the top. But the other thing is he actually does it far faster than that. Because if you analyze this dialogue here when he's talking to the person who like allows you to climb the world tree, he gives Gon a button, and he says, if you press that button, we'll send like a helicopter squad to save you, and it'll take 10 minutes for them to reach you. Okay? Gon, he climbs halfway up the tree and sees a stranded person, presses the button, waits 10 minutes for him to be saved, and then still reaches the top within 20 minutes. So what that tells you is Gon literally climbed 4,000 feet in 10 minutes. That's what it really means. Gon literally climbed over 1,200 meters in just 10 minutes because he wasted 10 minutes just standing there waiting for this guy to be saved. So and another thing is, like, as soon as he starts climbing, he jumps so high that the dude can barely even see him anymore. If you remember back in Greed Island, Gon had to augment his like jumping ability with Nen in order to jump like relative heights. These are things that you could use to argue that maybe Gon actually does still have his Nen, and he might actually be stronger than he was in Chimera Antark, but he just can't see his Nen because the aura nodes in his eyes are closed. That's a way you can view it. Because if he's doing this without Nen, then he's absolutely broken. Shane, you said, what's your favorite manga? One Piece. One Piece. Just way more consistent. But yeah, so Gon literally, Neo, you said, can you translate that into American measurements? Yeah, so it's 4,000 feet. Like the amount of distance Gon had to climb was 4,000 feet, and he climbed it in 10 minutes. So if he's doing that, and if he's doing that without Nen at all, that's absolutely insane. He didn't even get tired from doing that. But it's like, here's the thing, guys. Like, you can use this to make a strong argument that the highball interpretation of Gon actually is the more likely interpretation, that he actually does have all the strength he had back in Chimera Antark plus more, but he just can't see his Nen for whatever reason. Suki, you said top 3. I'd have to really think about that. But it's probably something like Hunter. Well, no, it can't be Hunter x Hunter with this. So it'd probably be One Piece, Berserk, and maybe Baki. It might be that. Anyways, Yeah, but here's the thing. Gon, the feats that Gon performs climbing this world tree here, you can use them to back up the highball interpretation of Gon still having all of his power from Chimera Antark, actually being stronger than he was back then, but just can't see his Nen. Because, like, he climbs this tree in 10 minutes, and he doesn't have any line of dialogue about, like, man, this would be easier if I was using Nen. And you also ask yourself, like, why wouldn't he use Nen? If he's doing something like this, why wouldn't he use his Nen abilities? Um, so yeah, it kind of, you can use this to argue that like Gon still does have his Nen, he just can't see it. Okay, so I covered all that. Oh, and then the next thing here is that now Gon knows about the Dark Continent. He knows that the Chimera ants are from the Dark Continent. He knows that the world outside is like massively, massively larger than what he thought it was. And Gon is a naturally very adventurous person. There's a line of dialogue in the early story where Gon is talking to Killua, and he's saying that if he didn't hear about Jing from Kite, he might not have even wanted to like know who Jing was in the first place. And Killua was like, but knowing you, you still would have become a hunter anyway, which is an accurate representation of like Gon's mentality. He's actually pretty much perfectly made to be a hunter. He just has a hunter's mind. So the fact that he knows about the Dark Continent, the odds of him never wanting to go there is almost zero. Especially considering the fact that he follows in Jing's footsteps almost perfectly. Like he's done pretty much everything Jing has done when he was a child. Like going to the hunter exams at the same age, being a super legendary talent, all this stuff, fighting using a fishing pole. He's kind of just like the spitting image of Jing, almost like his clone. So the fact that Jing wants to go to the Dark Continent, the odds that Gon will never want to go are almost zero. And they actually have a line of dialogue like that where Jing is saying, like, if your destination is the same as mine, enjoy the side trips a lot. And that's kind of what he's doing right now. He's getting an education with Aunt Mito. Like, this is pretty much his side trip. Okay. And also, this should be noted too. After he goes and meets up with Jing, he actually does go on like another mission. Yeah, he goes on another mission with like Kite's leftover squad. This is in the manga with him doing that. And then this is what Gon's doing now, just hitting the books. Um, and Also, Zero, you said Jing used a fishing pole. Yeah, he did. Yeah, there's just like one panel of like kid Jing, and they show him with a fishing pole. Anyways, this is something that you can use to back up the idea of Gon getting stronger than he was after the Chimera Antark. We see that all throughout the series, Gon gets stronger at a very fast rate. And like not only does he just learn from his like Nen masters very quickly, but he actually gets stronger mid battle as well. That's something that Killua says, that he learns and improves as at an extraordinary rate in the middle of combat. And we actually see that in the battle with Knuckle. In the beginning of his battle with Knuckle, Knuckle was so much stronger than Gon that he was able to one-shot him at the very beginning of the fight. That's what the upper left-hand panel says. But then as the fight goes on, Killua says Gon is starting to hold his own against him. And then he says that Gon was getting used to Knuckle's speed, and he wasn't getting hit by surprise attacks anymore. And he was just like adjusting the way he was fighting mid-battle. So like he was learning really fast just from one singular battle, and we actually get information as to how long the fight went on. He fought Knuckle for about 20 minutes, and was already improving like to a considerable margin, going from being able to just get one shot from a warm-up punch from Knuckle to like not being hit by surprise attacks and getting used to his speed in just 20 minutes of fighting. And that's actually a very impressive feat, because Gon states that Knuckle is physically about as strong as Kite was. So for Gon to perform this big of an increase against a character that's like relative in physical strength to Kite is actually crazy. Okay. And yeah, and this is just the stuff I was talking about earlier. It's been 11. Oh, wait, I'll just go in more detail here before I go over to that. This heavily implies that Gon would have gotten stronger after the Chimera Antark as well, because he battled Pito. He fought a royal guard and cooked Pito. And that was his first that was his first time ever using a life-risking conditional nen. He could have gotten more ideas for like how to improve just from doing that. He experienced what it was like to use massive amounts of aura at one time. That could have given him ideas for how he could improve his rock ability because he saw his rock ability at like its strongest possible form. Just using it like that could have taught him things about how he can improve his ability now. So yeah, like the fact that he got this much stronger from one 20-minute battle, it's interesting to imagine how much stronger did he get from fighting in the final piece of the Chimera Ant arc. It's interesting to just think about that. So yeah, I mean, if Gon still does have his Nen and he just can't see it, then he's likely a considerable amount stronger than the Gon we saw in Chimera Ant arc. Okay, so yeah, I think there was something else I wanted to say about that, but I'm not remembering it at the moment. So yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. It's been 11 years since that chapter came out where Gon said he couldn't use Nen, and we still have gotten zero information on that 11 years later. To put that into perspective, the entire run of the story Yu Yu Hakusho lasted for 4 years. So it's like pretty much the equivalent of Yu Yu Hakusho running from start to finish 3 times in that time period, and Gon still just doesn't have Nen that whole time. And here's something else that we got. We actually got like a bit of a vague ending from Togashi for the Hunter x Hunter manga. So if you would not like to hear the ending to the manga, I'd recommend leaving the stream now because I'll just briefly go over the ending that Togashi gave us. Okay. So all right. So here we go. So Togashi, he said he had at least 4 different possible endings in mind, ranging in value from how much he thought people would like them. Like his top 3 endings, he didn't reveal those to us, but he gave us the 4th ending. Like this was an ending that like didn't make his top 3. It was ending 4 basically. So this is like a version of an ending to Hunter x Hunter that he gave to us that we can read and analyze a little bit, but it's so vague that it almost tells you nothing. What you get from it is that Gon has a granddaughter named Jin, and she's kind of the reverse of Gon. Like, she is very strong too. She catches the Lord of the Lake the same way that Gon did in Chapter 1. She's strong enough to do that on her own as well. But instead of doing that to prove that she's capable of becoming a hunter, it's the reverse. She's doing that so that she doesn't have to become a hunter. She's saying that she does not want to become a hunter, and like her catching the Lord of the Lake was like a prerequisite for her to not be able to do that. And something that's interesting is that she says that she has a grandmother named Noko and a grandfather. Her grandfather's Gon. So Gon actually has a line of dialogue when he's talking to Killua. He says the only other person that was his age in his village was a girl named Noko. So this implies that Gon actually married that girl Noko from the village. And yeah, and now his granddaughter Jin is born. Here's something that's interesting though. She says, like, Jin, she says, like, the reason she does not want to become a hunter is because when Grandpa Gon talks about his hunter adventures, Grandma Noko gets angry. So, like, and let me read the exact line of dialogue here. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So this is the exact line of dialogue. She says, when Grandpa Gon speaks joyfully about his memories of being a hunter, Grandma Noko quietly moves away from her seat. Every time Grandpa Gon affirms, her belief is heard from someone. She strikes the cutting board forcefully with a knife. I'm tired of this. To wait for someone's return after months and years of sadness crushes my heart. So what this is saying is, like, what this implies is that Gon, he becomes a hunter. Well, he's already a hunter, we know that. But it implies that Gon not only gets his Nen back, but and then, like, marries Noko, but he has had missions where he's left for months and years at a time. Like, he left Noko behind for years at a time, straight up following in those Ging footsteps. But yeah, he's gone on missions where he's left for years at a time. And then we also have this line of dialogue where it says that Grandpa Gon was a famous hunter. And like knowing that Gon left for years at a time, this implies that Gon goes to crazy missions, maybe the Dark Continent, probably the Dark Continent. It's like it implies that there's been times where Gon left for years at a time, was probably exploring the Dark Continent, survived it, and came back, and he became like a famous hunter. Okay, and then this ending, it ends saying that there's a figure watching the scene, and it's like implied that that figure is just Gon watching over his village. So so yeah, I mean, like, there's this ending is so extremely vague. They don't tell you like how famous Gon becomes. They don't tell you how strong Gon becomes. It doesn't tell you anything that happened with Killua. It doesn't tell you anything that happened with Karapika. So I'll do a quick low and high ball scale for you for the ending of this ending we got. If you lowball it, you could like the lowest you can absolutely lowball it. It's like actually kind of a sad version of a lowball is if you say Gon as a kid was already a famous hunter just by being Jing's son, and like when he came back to like when he walked into the election hall, like the people there like knew about Gon. So if you wanted to say maybe Gon was already a famous hunter and then he never gets his Nen back, never does anything, that's the lowest lowball you could possibly have. The highest highball you could possibly have is that Gon gets his Nen back. But I will say this, that the lowest low ball actually doesn't make sense because Noko says that there were times where Gon would leave for years on end. And the entire story of Hunter x Hunter only takes place over about 15 months. Because like when Gon leaves, he's 11 years old and his birthday is in about 2 months. And then when he comes back, like when he's healed, the doctor says that he was 12 still. So it shows you that the whole story was about 15 months. Anyways, what was he saying? Okay, yeah. So the low ball, it doesn't really make sense. The most likely interpretation of this ending is that Gon actually does get his Nen back. He marries Noko. He goes to the Dark Continent, does crazy stuff on the Dark Continent for years and years, and then like comes back and visits the house. Here's the two more likely interpretations. It's either not only does Gon get his Nen back, go to the Dark Continent, and do a bunch of crazy stuff that we never got to see, but after doing all of that, one interpretation is that Gon chose to retire after that and just wants to be a family man now. The other interpretation is that he's still a famous hunter, and like he just chills at the house and then goes on hunts. So whichever interpretation you want the most, we got this very vague ending. So it's like whichever one you want the most, you should just believe that. And this is also like something else Togashi said is like if he actually did end up writing the full story, he might not use any of these endings. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover for this. Do you guys have any questions on anything? Like that's pretty much everything I would use in the video too. So real quick, I'll just do an ending for like the video portion. So yeah, but I'll keep the stream going a little longer. This is just for people who are just hopping in. This live stream, I'm going to do an edited version of like the highlights from the stream and put it onto YouTube. So let me just like say an ending for the YouTube video, guys. So so yeah, guys, that's pretty much everything about how will I word this? I'll say oh, okay, I'll go like this. So all right, everybody, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, chat. So now we'll just do the actual live stream stuff. So that's everything I wanted to just yap about for Gon not having Nen, or does he have Nen? That pretty much covers all of that. So let me read through your guys' comments for a little bit. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention is like the concept of Togashi's characters losing their powers and then gaining them back. This is not the first time he's done this either. He does this with Hiei and Kurama in Yu Yu Hakusho as well. The story starts out and they're like B-class demons. Then they lose all their powers, go down to D-class. And then by the end of the story, they're S class, which is like hundreds of times stronger than B. So it's actually not even the first time that Togashi's done this trope. Um, Zero, you said, Lilo, one last question. How long has it been since we've gotten any more information on Gon's Nen? It's been 11 years, bro. Uh, this chapter right here, this chapter when Ging is talking to Gon and telling him like you still have aura but you just can't see it. That chapter 345, it came out. That chapter came out June 30th of 2014, bro. That was 11 years ago. And we have never seen Gon since. Haven't even gotten a single panel with him. Oh, my fault, Frieza. Yeah, Hiei and Kurama were A class. My fault, my fault. Or was it just Kurama was A class and Hiei was B? I forgot which. Togashi did the same with Kuwabara where he lost his senses. King Shadow, feel free to share your theory, man. You can just type it. Denny 10, thoughts on Gon having eye theory? I haven't heard that theory. What's that theory? Jaru, do you think we will see Ging or Beyond in the next 10 chapters? No. No, I don't. I mean, I've kind of reached a point where, like, I just expect nothing but exposition and build-up chapters for the next, like, 20 or 30 chapters. I don't think we'll see, like, anything major. Like, we're on chapter 410. I don't think we'd see anything major until, like, maybe chapter 450, 460. Sengra, you said, would it be possible that Gon gets to keep his total aura capacity that he gained from the transformation since Killua wished for Nanika to heal him, not reset him? I don't think so because, oh, here's another thing that actually backs up that idea too, is like Killua, who was with him the entire time, doesn't mention anything about Gon's aura being weird or being lower than normal or being massively higher than normal. All of this would kind of imply that like Gon's power is still around the same level it was at the end of the Chimera Ant arc. Do you think current Nenless Gon is stronger than Heaven's Arena Gon? Yes, I do. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, the lowball version of him, even if you lowball him to the max, he's stronger than the start of Heaven's Arena Gon. But maybe he would lose to Heaven's Arena Gon the moment he awoke in Ren, maybe. That's the lowest you could lowball him. If you highball him, then he's like stronger than the Chimera Ant arc version of himself. But since we actually don't have the actual answer, I say just pick whichever version makes you happier. Cosmic, you said even if it's a reset, getting it back isn't going to be hard at all. It would literally take 3 panels. Yeah, it would literally take 3 panels, which is again the main reason why this is not my favorite manga. Zoom, you said what power-ups would you give the Straw Hats minus the Monster Trio power-ups? I mean, really the only one that matters to get a power-up right now, in my opinion, would be Usopp. Just give him like a close range ability, a strong one. You could give him like a Thor's hammer type thing and give him some bravery. Gyro, he would lose to Heaven's Arena Killua. If he doesn't have Nen, he's losing to Heaven's Arena Gon too, because just having Nen, like you can one-shot people who don't have Nen. But if he does have Nen, like if he does have all of his Nen, he's cooking everyone. Like, I mean, if he still has all of his powers from Chimera Ant arc, then he's just still absolutely broken. Wait, King Shadow, what are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? Pay what you owe. Oh, you said, yo, can I debate for Castro today? I'm good on that, bro. I don't really want to debate Castro. But if you want to leave some Castro debates in the comments, you can. Oh, Gyro, you said would he lose to Heaven's Arena Killua? My fault. I thought you said he would lose. Oh yeah, so I could clarify that. Yeah, so if he doesn't have any like if he's just in the state of not having Nen anymore, like he's all his aura nodes are closed. Let's say that he fights Heaven's Arena Killua. If Killua doesn't like one shot break all of his bones with like a Nen attack, then Gon would awaken his aura again and then just one shot Killua. Because he would be like stronger than Chimera Antark Gon was. So King Shadow, just you can just type your theory, man. Cause yeah, just type your theory, bro. Um, King Shadow, bro. Sometimes King Shadow just says hot takes just to like get me to debate him, bro. King Shadow, the manga word for word multiple times says Gon has more potential than Killua. That's like the whole thing. What? Sometimes King Shadow just says stuff, bro. Anyways, and Jing isn't a deadbeat, and Killua has more potential than Gon. Just the two opposites that the author tells us all throughout the story. All right. Nice take there. Nice take there, man. Andre, who's the bigger deadbeat, Jing or Toji? Toji, because Toji like forgot his son's name. King Shadow is trying to rage bait me into a debate, chap. He said, I can prove Jing is not a deadbeat, and I can prove Killua has more potential. Brother, no you can't, because the manga says the opposite. Like, Togashi in an interview, word for word, says he wrote Jing to be a terrible person. Togashi, word for word, says that. And then, with Killua, it's, like, stated all throughout the story that he has less potential than Gon, man. Talent and potential are different. Like, talent is how fast you can learn things. They're equal in talent, but potential is different. Like, that's why, in Greed Island, Bisky, I mean, here's the thing. Gon is stated multiple times to have bottomless potential. He's the only human with that statement. Bottomless. Bisky says that about Gon, too. She says that's one of his strengths that Killua doesn't have. He has bottomless potential, Killua doesn't. That's also why Bisky calls Gon a diamond, but Killua's a sapphire. Diamonds are worth more than sapphires. And then even when Gon like meets Melioron, Melioron says this kid has bottomless potential. It's stated multiple times, man. Chat, you see what King Shadow's doing? He's trying to rage bait me into a debate. Should I debate him, chat? Let me know what you think. Do you think Jing has more potential? No, Gon has more potential. King Shadow, that's what potential is, bro. What do you mean? Oh my god. King Shadow, stop it. Stop trying to rage bait me into a debate, man. Andre, probably Zoro fans, to be honest. Probably Zoro fans. King Shadow, you said, why am I so confident in my claim? I don't know, man. I don't know. Because, like, the manga told you the opposite, bro. I don't know why you're confident in it. Oh, my gosh. All right, fine. Okay, fine, King Shadow. I'll debate you for a few moments. And then after that, I'm ending the stream. All right? I'll let you explain your thoughts. And then we'll end the stream, all right? Hold on. Let's see. Okay, I'm going into debate voice chat one. Wait, hold on. Before I do that, let me open up. Give me a second. Brother really said, I know that the manga said the opposite of my claims, but I'm still confident anyway. Why am I so confident? I don't know why you're so confident, man. I don't know. But let's hear what you have to say. Hold on. I'm just opening the chat on my other laptop so I can see what people are saying while this goes on. Bro, I did the Zoro versus Luffy debate last night, and something I saw, bro. Most of people most of the people in the chat weren't even like paying attention to the debate. They were just having their own debate in the comments. Cozy, thank you for the donation, bro. I appreciate it a lot, man. Top 3 Hunter characters. My favorite character is Gon. My second favorite is Meruem. My third favorite is Killua. All right, man. King Shadow, we can debate for just a little while. Chat, before this debate starts, let me just give you context. This is legit what just happened. King Shadow says Ging is not a deadbeat, and Killua has more potential than Gon. Okay, mind you, that's word for word the opposite of what Togashi says, because Togashi in an interview, there's an interview. I made a whole live stream on this in my stream called Ging is a Deadbeat. You guys should go check that out. But Togashi did an interview where he said like good parents get in the way of storytelling. So what he chose to do was he said, like Togashi says, if Ging was a good parent, like Gon would be in school. So I decided to make Ging a terrible person. That's word for word like what Togashi says, okay? And then not to mention like Ging straight up says like, I know you want to see me gone, but I don't want to see you. I left you for purely selfish reasons. This is like, and then Ging says, I'm not even a good person, all that. So that's just Togashi just straight up saying he's a deadbeat. Even while Gon was literally dying, Ging didn't even go to see him. And then the Gon having more potential than Killua thing is just word for word stated multiple times. It's stated by Bisky and it's stated by Melioron. It's literally stated by Killua as well. The start of the series, Killua says, does Gon have more potential than me? Because Netero said he does. Then when Bisky starts training them, she says one of Gon's strengths is that he has bottomless potential. She does not say that about Killua. She says that Gon is like a diamond. Killua was like a sapphire. Diamonds are worth far more. You can just Google that yourself. Google what's worth more, a diamond or a sapphire. It's a diamond. And then Melioron, when he chose Gon, like he was thinking to himself, should I have Gon as a partner or Killua as a partner? And after he sees Gon like be a crash out for a moment, he said, I knew it. There was something different about this one. This one has no bottom to his potential. So it's literally, so King Shadow's basically trying to debate something that's opposite of what the manga has said. But I'm just going to let him do it for a little while, okay? So let's just go ahead. All right, King Shadow, what's up, bro? What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. No, but like when I said my plans, I was honestly being like as genuine as possible. I'm not like it may come out as rage bait, but I'm not trying to. Like I honestly have evidence to back everything up that I'm saying.
But before I let you give the evidence, you do realize that Togashi disagrees with you, right?
That's also not true too. Based off like okay, so like not even providing my evidence, it's just common knowledge to assume that actions speak louder than words, and based off how he like writes Ging, his action describes Ging as not being a deadbeat versus his words, and he may have even changed his mind since that interview, if you understand what I'm saying there. Just that alone, like as in, I may feel like, okay, I'm not gonna eat this certain type of food today, but if I wake up the next day, or like even that same exact day, I'm like, I have a craving for it now. You see what I'm saying? So like, my actions spoke louder than my words in that moment, at the very least, right? But yeah. So like when he first made Hunter x Hunter, I'm quite sure he never planned on like leaving Gon as the main character. But he ended up doing it, right? So there's also that.
So
hello?
Yeah, I'm just trying to process what you just said to me, man. I'm not really sure. Could you explain to me
a little better?
Yeah. So like why do you think Ging is not a deadbeat?
Right. Go ahead.
So we'll take it at one point at a time. Okay, so your first point
Yeah,
is that you think Jing is not a deadbeat, right?
correct.
Why is that?
Okay, so you read the manga, right? Like top to bottom. So in the manga, it even says, like, I don't know which translation it is, but I'm quite sure it's in all of them. Aunt Mito just straight up says to Gon, Jing never wanted to leave you. It was me who forced him to go. And then he had to leave you behind. Like, he was me who forced him, like, hey, like, you're not going to take your son on adventures with you, right? And then we also have the fact that, like, Jing is a person who cares a lot about his friends. And so it just doesn't make sense. Like, he cares a lot about his friends. Like, probably as much as, like, Gon cares about his friends. And, like, we seen how he reacted when something bad happened to Kite without barely knowing Kite himself. Jing even trained Kite, and, like, Jing cares a lot about his friends. So with that being said, like, you can only imagine how much he cares about his family, right? He went as far as to essentially leaving a voice memo for Gon when he got older, creating a game for him. He told Razor, like, hey, like, toughen my son up, right? Like, sure, you're probably gonna have, like, quote unquote the intention to kill him, but, like, that's my son. Like, I'm having faith and, like, I'm believing in him. There's also the fact that Jing has so much faith in his son that even when, like, and it's possible, like, okay, so a lot of people call him a deadbeat because he didn't go and see Gon when Leoria asked him to, or even prior, right, when he found that Kite had died. It's most likely that Jing, like, he's a person who always, like, eyes his intentions and how he feels about things. And one of the times that we've ever seen Jing be caught off guard, like, the first time even was when he had seen Gon. It's most likely that he wasn't even able to handle the fact that his son was put in such condition. Like, he would just, like, absolutely, like, not want to even see that from his son, because we even seen how Killua reacted to that, right? Like, he doesn't want to see his son, like, the first time he sees his son is in, like, that terrible condition. He probably wouldn't want to see that. Like, imagine it from Gene's perspective, right? But Gene still had faith in, like, nah, like, he's gonna recover. Like, that's my boy. See what I'm saying?
So
So that just goes to show you, like,
one
the
sec,
link.
one second, King Shadow. So just a couple things, man. So the message that that Jing gave Gon, Mito word for word says, Jing told me never to give you this unless you became a hunter. Becoming a becoming a hunter. Do you realize how almost impossible that is?
It's not really that hard. And
Well,
mind you,
hold on.
I've said, yeah, I got you.
Hold on, hold on. It's literally like a 0.00001% chance that you can do it. And it's like like you become a hunter, you're instantly like a multimillionaire, and like tons of people try every single year, and they had like the actual stat at the start of the manga. It's like 0.0001% of all people who try actually pass the exam. And if Gon was not strong enough, a massive superhuman strong enough to become a hunter, he never would have even heard his father's voice. He would have went his whole life and died without ever seeing him and without ever hearing his voice. Then in the dialogue that he gives Gon, he straight up says, like, Gon, I know you want to see me. I don't want to see you. He says, I'm not a good person. And if you come near me, I'm running away. Those are the first words Gon ever hears from his father. Like, literally the first time he ever hears his father's voice, he straight up says, I don't want to see you. And then he follows it up by saying, and I left you for purely selfish reasons.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone says that to their... Here's another thing. Gon himself says, if Kite didn't tell me that Jing was amazing, I would not have wanted to see him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, just because you care about your son doesn't mean you're not a deadbeat. And honestly, like, being a deadbeat means you're just, like, not a good father. That's what it means. And it's like, by every step of the word, he's not.
Okay.
And
so
and one last thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Mito literally adopts him because he's a bad father. Like, Jing comes back from Greed Island with Gon and then just drops him off at Aunt Mito's house and leaves. And he says, just watch my son for a while, and leaves. And Mito adopts him at that point. Like, this is like textbook deadbeat stuff.
Okay. So to address all of that, right? I'm always start with your last claim, and then I'll work from like your first claim up. So, first, he doesn't just like he stops by Green Island. Green Island, yeah, sure, I'll give you that. But like I said, in the manga, they just didn't include this in the anime. But in the manga, Mito just said like, "Hey, you're not taking your son again, right?" And then Jing was like, "Okay, fine, you're taking him." Right? That's essentially what happened because Mito was like, "I told Jing not to let you go because I don't want you getting hurt in his adventures." Like it's literally like textbook is said that like it's just straight up in the manga. Like you can like I think it's even in chapter 1 or something like that. Like you can just find it for sure. Now working on from your other claims, right? So yes, he does say, "Hey, I don't want to see you. If I see you, I'll run. I left you for purely selfish reasons." Those selfish reasons are to become a hunter, right? Even in one of Togashi's ending that you were just talking about previously, Gon left Greed Island multiple times just for like selfish reasons. If Kurapika was ever in trouble or anything like that, he would have just leave through selfish reasons.
King Shadow,
King
Shadow, bro. 1 second. I pulled up the exact manga panel you're talking about, and that's not what happens. So like this is Jing. He comes back 10 years later with baby Gon, and this is what they say. They say the first thing Jing asked me after all that time, like Jing left his family for 10 years without speaking to them. Okay, so abandoning Gon isn't his only thing. Like Jing left to become a hunter at 11 years old. He came back 10 years later without speaking to any of them. And he says, this is Jing's grandmother. She says, the first thing Jing asked me after all that time was if I could take care of his kid for a while. And then, wait, hold on. This is because this was a big point you just made, but it's just not true. You said that Mito said like, here's what Mito says. She says, Mito screamed, "What's wrong with you?" Which makes sense, a logical thing to say. Then she told Jing to never come back, which is also a logical thing to say when you vanish for 10 years, drop your child off and say, "Hey, watch him for a while." That's the only thing you say. Of course, a rational thing your family would say to you is like, "Never come back here." But that doesn't mean he has to listen. Like, she also told him not to leave in the first place, and he still did that. So whatever Jing wants to do is what he'll do. If he wanted to see Gon, he would have saw Gon.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the panel where she just straight up says that I told Jing to like first, and that just even implies it, right? Okay, look at it from like this perspective, right? Let's say I just leave my mom all of a sudden, right? And then I come back with a kid. I'm like, "Hey, can you watch my like son for a kid?" And then you start yelling and screaming. It's like, and my mom starts yelling and screaming. It's like, "Hey, don't come back and visit your son again. Like this isn't your kid anymore, right?" What I'm gonna do? Fight my mom?
What, fine. Like, King Shadow, what kind of argument is that, bro? Because like, King Shadow, what kind of argument is that? It's his son. You don't drop your child off and just say watch him for a while. You keep him with you. You raise him. What kind of argument is that? That like that is being a deadbeat.
Jing is a very famous hunter, right? It makes sense for him to have enemies. What do you think his enemy would do if they found out that he has a son? Like, no one even knew about Gon until he beat Greed Island. Essentially, like, he was Jing's son.
Do you think the Zoldycks don't have enemies?
The Zoldyck, that's a whole different thing right there. The Zoldyck family, like, no one's touching the Zoldyck family. Period. No one even knows what they look like. To be honest,
King Shadow,
there's no known picture.
King Shadow, the Zoldycks have tons of enemies. And they didn't just abandon Killua.
What's your point here?
I'm saying like literally the Zoldycks are better parents than Jing. Like that's kind of what I'm saying. Like the Zoldycks care about Killua more than Jing cares about Gon.
Alright, I was trying to pull up this thing. Yeah. Okay, there's ways that you can interpret that, right? If we're going to use that example, saying that the Zoldyck family cares more about Killua than Jing cares about Gon, well, they also taught Killua how to unalive people, right? And then they show bias when it comes down to other family members, like when, what's his name? Piggy. When Piggy got, like, stabbed by, and, like, Killua mother got stabbed by Killua when he had the hunter exam, right? They didn't care too much to punish Killua for his actions, right? Now imagine how Jin would react if he sees like God just like did the same thing to Mito. Do you believe it's in Jin's character to not care about that? Do you believe it's in Jin's character to not care about Kite if he finds out that his like son tries to like unalive Kite or did unalive Kite? Like, how would you see? Like, there's a different connection when it comes down to the Zodiac family and like the Freeze family, right? Like, you can't compare the two. It's just unjust.
But bro, I mean, your whole argument is that Jing is not a deadbeat, but so far all you've said is that he's a complete deadbeat.
How did I say that? I said no. Mito had essentially kidnapped Gon, told Gon like, hey, like you're staying with me. To Jing. Jin created a game for Gon to beat so he can grow stronger. And then he didn't even mind, like, he created the game in order to, like, send Gon to him, but he's like, hey, if he's going to involve his friends, then I don't want to see him. Not right now. We send him to my disciple, right? Let him meet him first again.
So, like, it sounds like King Shadow, you're saying he's not a deadbeat because he cares about Gon a little bit. That seems like that's your whole argument.
What I'm saying here is he was forced to leave his son behind because first he's already a hunter.
Well,
right?
he wasn't. He dropped
behind,
him off of his own free will, man. He didn't have to do that. He could have just trained him. He could have just brought him with him and trained him.
Okay, so here's the alternative.
Or he could have just visited and trained him like that. He never listens to Mito anyway. His whole life, he's never once listened to her.
Based off of what?
Based off of what they tell us. Like
what happened where Jing was like, all right, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to ignore what you just said.
This panel right here. What? This panel right here. It's like, this is their childhood. Jing tells Mito he's leaving to become a hunter when he's 11 years old. And Mito says that she was screaming at him and he just left anyway. He doesn't care, man. He just does whatever he wants to do. And Jing also has a line.
That just means that she was just upset that he's going. Like, that's how any person, like, all right, Mito doesn't want to Gon to become a hunter, but he becomes one, and he becomes a really great one at that. Like, that claim holds no strength whatsoever. Like, it's not even relevant.
She said, look, this is the whole dialogue. She says, you're leaving, but why? He says, yeah, there's something I want. And then she says, he wouldn't tell me what it was, and we had a fight. Well, I was the only one yelling. So she didn't like that idea, was trying to make him stop, and he didn't listen.
Yes, okay, so first she's mad that he wouldn't tell her what he wanted, but like that's not even the only thing that I gained from it. It seems more so as, first, this is a kid. Right, this isn't a grown woman Mito, right? This isn't an adult Mito. And then Jin's like, hey, I'm much older than you. I'm going to do what I want. I don't want to stay in this village. Look at the alternative, right? Look at what would have happened if Gon never set out for Green Island, right? First, Gon would have never met Jin, right? But then he would have been completely safe in Whale Island. My bad, I said Green Island. He would have been completely safe in Whale Island, and he would have been completely fine with, like, just being safe in Whale Island. Like, nothing would have came about it, right? Like, his life would have been peaceful. Think about it like this. Like, in the ending that Togashi had gave that you were just reading about in your live stream, it says, like, for verbatim, that, like, Gon has a son, and then his son has a daughter, and then his son is motivating her to become a hunter, but she doesn't want to become a hunter because she's like, hey, Gon caused too much pain by leaving.
Well, hey, King Shadow,
even Mito.
King Shadow, this seems like it's kind of going on a tangent. Like, another thing here is, like, there's another panel where Aunt Mito straight up says, when we were kids, I wanted to play with him, but he would always go off on his own. So, like, this is also showing, like, he's never really listened to her. Another thing is, Jing says that in his message to Gon, like, I'll always be the guy I am. Like, he just does what he wants. So, if he really wanted to see Gon, he would have. If he really wanted to train Gon, he would have. If he really wanted to spend any time with him, he would have. And then this is, like, these are literally the first words Gon ever hears him say. It's an audio recording. And Jing says, this is the first words he ever hears. He says, you should stop the tape here if you think it would be nice to see me. That's the first words Jing says. Then he says, all right, so you want to see me that much? Well, I don't want to see you. And then he says, I quit being a parent for selfish reasons. He follows that up by saying, I'm not a decent guy. So it's like, how do you defend any of that, bro?
Okay, so like first, that's just him being honest, right? Like, what do you want him to do? Just lie to his son? Look at the interaction with when he first encountered his son, right? He was caught off guard. They're like, hey, this is the first time I seen Ging being caught off guard. And then he tells his son, hey, I'll stay here and I'll wait for you. He said, go apologize to Kite first, right? So he cares about his friends deep, but that just goes to show you like the type of character he is, right? He said, go apologize to Kite. Then he taught his son a lesson. He's like, you know how friends apologize. They make a promise to one another saying that they won't do something again. So go apologize to him. And then Gon's like, hey, will I see you again? He's like, I don't know. I'm kind of busy. And then everyone's like enraged about it, right? But then he leaves his son a note saying, hey, meet me on top of the world tree. Thus meaning that he's even challenging his son again. And his son probably doesn't even have Nin at this point. He's like, hey, I believe that you're capable to climb the world tree. I'm leaving you up to it. He tells his son, yeah, come and find me because you're a hunter. You're supposed to hunt, right? Don't become a hunter just because you wanted to find me. Don't become a hunter just because like you see me do it. I want you to actually catch your prey. Gon even knew Kite's last mission to find Ging was to find him, right? He's like, that's what Ging wants. He wants to be found. He wants
King Shadow. Just a side note, like, why not just train him?
Okay.
Why not just train him? If he cares that much, why not just train him? What?
What's the gain from training him?
He's his freaking father, bro. I mean, what do you mean? King Shadow, what do you mean, bro?
Okay.
You're trying to okay, hold on, bro. Your whole debate is that he's not a deadbeat, and you're genuinely asking me, well, why should he spend any time with him? That's because if he's not a deadbeat, that's what he would do.
No. See, you're getting the two confused. Spending time with someone and training someone is completely different, right? If I had a son, right, and I'm spending time with him, that's just me spending time with him. But I don't have to take my son to the gym. What's the point of me doing that? I don't plan for my son to even have to get in an altercation to the point where he has to work out. So he does spend time with his son. He even tells his son about his adventures. There's no need. And then Ging was like, I wouldn't mind taking you to the Dark Continent if you had better control over your Nin. Gon doesn't even want to see his dad. He's completely fine with that. He was like, I wanted to see him, but be around him, I don't too much care for that. I'd rather be around me. So that's the narrative that's shown after he stops becoming the main character. He was like, maybe if I sing Ging Nin, I'll be wanting to go to the Dark Continent with him, right? I wanted to like do adventures with him. But it's just, I'm not that interested. Ging was an interesting character that I wanted to hunt. I wanted to find. I found him. Now the purpose is gone. Essentially, Ging is completely fine with how Ging is. Gon is, at least.
Well, hey, King Shadow, do you want to just move on to defending Killua having more potential? Because it's kind of just going in a circle here. I'm not really seeing any argument for Ging being a good father. I'm not.
Okay, we can go on to that, but like, you honestly haven't seen a single good point that I made.
Here, go ahead and make some of the points.
Okay, but before that, we can honestly just move on because I'm completely fine with that. I wanted to talk about Killua anyways. But first, who else do you consider a deadbeat in just anime? And then just compare that to Ging.
I would say, okay, a good example is well, wait, why? Like you're saying, think of another deadbeat and compare him to Ging. I'd say Goku's a deadbeat to Goten, and he honestly treats Goten better than Ging treats Gon.
All right, what about Toji? Do you consider him a deadbeat?
Well, wait, I gave you an answer already. What? Want to just use that one?
Okay, fine. We can just use that one.
I'm sorry, Goku was bad, though, for like the whole time Goten was like born.
Whoa.
Wait, what did you say?
No, I'm not
was dead during like the whole time. Goku was like when Goten was born.
I mean, like Goku in Super is more of a deadbeat. But in Z, he's a better father to Goten than Ging is to Gon.
Wait, so there you have it right then and there. You just said Goku's a deadbeat at one point, but then he becomes a better father. When Gon finds Ging, you don't think?
Well, actually, it's the reverse. It's the reverse. Actually, he was a better father in Z, but then when you go to Super, he's worse.
To Goten?
Yeah, because he just like stops training him basically.
then again, you don't have to train your son to spend time with him. Okay, I
But
understand.
but
your
King
point
Shadow,
of view,
do you
but
want to just move on to the
yeah, fine. We can move on. It's completely fine that way. But we'll just have to agree to disagree. I'm quite sure you'll be convinced sooner or later in the near future with debates. But with Killua, right? Okay, so let's address the first time where someone says that Killua has less potential than Gon. Sherman Netero, right? He had made the list, and then Killua asked him like, "Hey, what's that list about? Can you tell me how you ranked everybody? Does Gon truly have more potential than me?" And then Netero said, "I can't give you I think like the direct answer, but I can tell you what your ranking was based off of. It was based off of like your potential to become a hunter, your strength, and your performance in the hunter exam, right? Now, when we look at Killua Hunter performance, he never goes out, he never strives, and he's quick to quit. He's really quick to quit the hunter exam. As in, when Netero had gave him the volleyball challenge, he's like, I'll just leave first. I don't really care. That, and then Gon, he kept on playing, and I think the 5th hunter exam, I think there's like 6 in total, maybe 7. Like when they're like that forest, Killua, he never hunts his prey. He just walking around the forest, allowing his prey to hunt him because he views him as not being a threat. And like the last hunter exam, he doesn't even fight Poconoto or whatever his name is, the guy with the arrows. He doesn't even fight him because he was like, hey, this is a boring guy to fight. And even in like the prison exam where they're fighting the prisoners, right? He's the last one to fight just to examine everyone's strength. Like he's not even trying to like show his skill in the hunter exam. He even said himself, I took the hunter exam essentially like off of selfish reasons. He's not trying to actually like go all out. He thought it would be fun to take the hunter exam, right? Even though you can lose your life while like taking the hunter exam, and that's what he's being scaled off of right then and there by Netero himself, which is just absolutely bogus. And Gon, he's actually trying in the hunter exam. He took a Ahsoka badge, and it's even more so bogus when you realize that the guy with the arrows, quote unquote, had more potential than Killua, because when you look at his performance, he's the first person to capture his prey in like that forest like exam, where they're all in one island just hunting each other. So there's also that, and then there's also the fact that he had a nin needle inside his head. So this isn't even like fully realized Killua at this point, right? But then he's second to Gon, essentially. Like, imagine a person being second to Gon without like an arm and a leg. That's essentially what like Killua is going based off of, and not even trying throughout the whole entire hunter exam. Right, just to like address that point. Like, there's multiple points as well. I just want to like start with that one and like get your opinion about that real quick.
So your whole point is like you think his potential is bigger without the Nen Needle?
There's that, and there's also the fact that he wasn't trying throughout the hunter exam, but he was being scaled off of that. Yeah,
I mean, well,
right now.
well, I would just go ahead and say that the Nen Needle never activated even once during the hunter exam. He thought he was stronger than Netero. So I don't know what you're getting at, to be honest.
So first, it did activate.
It didn't activate until he fight. It activates when he fights Illumi, but everything else you said, I don't know where you got that from, to be honest.
No, that's absolutely wrong. Hisoka as well. Killua was even like during the second hunter exam phase. Killua was like, "Hey, I want some distance between us and Hisoka." He already gauged Hisoka's strength. Same thing with Hanzo. That's why he didn't engage a fight with Hanzo. I think during the 5th hunter exam, right? During the second exam, he's like, "Hey, I want some distance between us and Hisoka," because he knows that Hisoka is actually a threat. He didn't view Netero as a threat, and mind you, Netero Nin and like his fighting ability is like unpredictable. It's said throughout the whole entire series that you just can't predict what that old man is gonna do. So there was no way for Killua to actually like tell how strong Netero was at that time. But Hisoka and Illumi, he could instantly tell. And Hanzo, he can also tell, like, this is shown throughout the second season of Heaven's Arena, that Hanzo is actually stronger than Killua, and Killua knew that, right? And so that's, like, also, like, part of, like, an activation of his needle. Like, he would never challenge Hanzo based off of, like, just selfish reasons or just wanting to fight him because of that needle. Okay. So, yeah, there's also that.
But, yeah, that doesn't really change anything, though. Like, Gon just still has more potential, so it doesn't really make any difference, to be honest.
Okay, so to prove you wrong, right? And then there's also evidence that I'll even address the Bisky claim about the Sapphire and Diamond, and even all your claims saying that Killua, no, Gon has more potential. So essentially, throughout the series, right, we have the fact that he has like the needle inside his head, and it's highly likely, like, just based off of that alone, a kid Killua was even being like was a threat towards the Zodiac family to the point where they had to put a needle inside his head. Is where I'm getting at. And the Zodiac family, they're extremely strong.
Wait. Hold on. Slow that down. You're saying you think that they put that in his head to make him weaker? They wanted Killua to be weaker, is what you're saying?
Extremely, yes. 100%,
No. The reason they put that in his head is to control him. They like.
They also nerfed him during that process. Can we agree to that?
Dude. Their goal was to make him
you can't agree to it, then
their goal is to make him the ultimate assassin. They want to control him. That's why they put the needle in his head.
Okay, so when you think the ultimate assassin eventually take out the needle, like that's just common sense. They wanted to control his level of strength, his power, and to make him the ultimate. I'll give you that. Right?
All right, King Shadow, I'm gonna go ahead and end this debate, man, because it's kind of getting to a point where you're just making things up. So I'm just gonna end this debate.
I have evidence.
All right, chat. That was a little too much for me to handle. That was too much for me to handle. That's the end of that debate. I'm not even going to entertain the idea that the Zoldycks want Killua to be weak. That doesn't make any sense at all. I'm not even going to entertain that, chat. I'm not even going to entertain that. I was trying to find the panel where Melioron looks at like Gon and says he's a monster. Hold on a second. I'm trying to find that panel. I'm not sure what panel it actually is, what chapter it is. Chat, I probably shouldn't have even done that debate. That was just didn't really get anywhere with that. But I'm trying to find the chapter where like Melioron looks at Gon and he says like I can't even see a limit to his potential. Does anyone remember what chapter? Yeah, Jalen, I told you guys it was rage bait from the start. I told you guys it was. But I'm trying to find the chapter. Where was it? It was a chapter where like it's after he beats the owl and bat, and then like he's talking to Melioron. I was close to it here. Oh wait, I just found it. Here's another one. Yeah, this is him saying it again. This is another like this is also like this is also just like Melioron comparing Gon to Killua. Because think about this, like Melioron had the choice of like, should I ask Killua to be my partner or should I ask Gon to be my partner? This is also Killua who doesn't have the Nen needle, right? And he says, I knew there was something special about this kid. His potential is like a bottomless pit. So this is once again another person saying Gon's potential is greater than even no Nen needle Killua. Okay. So this is once again like Gon's potential being stated to be greater than no Nen needle Killua. Just straight up. Testing. The only thing that the Nen needle did was it just made him run away from people who were stronger than him. It just keeps him safe. That's all. But yeah, this is Melioron saying that Gon's potential is greater than Killua's. And I think in the manga, he has a line of dialogue. So this is chapter 242. So let me see if I can find the chapter where Melioron like sees Gon and Killua notices him in the woods. I think that was chapter like a few before this, maybe 228. No, that's too far back. 232. It might have been like 230. Ah, okay, look at this. Look at this. He says Killua has the potential as much potential as a squadron leader. Killua has as much potential as a squadron leader. And then we saw that Gon has the potential of a bottomless pit. So, like, read this dialogue. This is no Nen Needle Killua. This is what they're saying about no Nen Needle Killua. He has as much potential as a squadron leader. Now let's look at Gon. His potential is like a bottomless pit. Big Alex rocks? I don't think so. No. Another thing though is also like the secondary material, the data books straight up say that Gon's talent in this arc here is 2 tiers above Killua's as well. 2 full tiers above it. Cozy, thank you for another donation, bro. I appreciate it. You said you think Gon having bottomless potential because he inherited it from Ging, or are there more things that factor into that? I think he's just like meant to surpass Ging. Like I think Gon is just meant to be the number 1 hunter and Killua was meant to be number 2. All right, chat. That's enough for... Wait, King Shadow, you said they're saying that as of right now, Killua is already stronger in the anime. He just said he's strong as a leader. But in the manga, it says he has the potential of a squadron leader, and then Gon's potential is that of a bottomless pit. And then there's also a line of dialogue in the manga where he asks Melioran, he's like, you're after me because you thought I'd be easier to beat than Killua? He says, no, that's not it. And then he follows it up with this. He says his potential is like a bottomless pit. That's what makes Gon special. That's like Gon's whole thing, guys. Also, here's something else to consider, guys. Let me just be straight up here. Let's say that look at everything Gon achieved without having Saper Boss, thank you for the donation. That's probably the wildest one I've ever received. I'll just say thanks for the donation on that, bro. But let me just explain to you the difference in their potential, okay? Here, let me see if I can pull up the panel. What was the chapter where Gon is crashing out in front of Pito? I think it was 261. Might be around there. I might be wrong. No, it's like way ahead of this. Crap. No, way ahead, way ahead. It'll take me a second. Hold up, I'll find it. Chapter before this. It's 274. I think. Yeah. Okay. This is Killua saying that Gon is so powerful right now. Like, look. This is him saying Pito doesn't have any aura at this point. Pito's completely defenseless. And then he's saying, like, is it possible that Pito thinks that could beat us without aura? And Killua was like, no, that's not possible. Gon has a totally different kind of aura than before. Not even Pito would stand a chance in their mortal frame, right? So, like, this is telling you, Gon in the manga, he's a 12-year-old boy. He's 12. He's already stronger than a royal guard if they don't use Nen. Like, to the point where they wouldn't stand a chance, okay? Now, I want you to compare this to Killua, okay? Let's just talk about Killua for a second. Gon's doing all of this with zero, like, before he met Killua, he didn't have any training. He was just playing in the woods. He was just playing in the woods. Okay? Think about this. If Killua did not have the Zoldyck training, he would not have any of his assassin techniques. He would not have an electricity-based Hatsu. That comes from him being a Zoldyck and going through electricity torture training. He would not have Lightning Bolt. He would not have Lightning Palm. He wouldn't even have his yo-yos. Those come from his brother. All of those advantages. And Gon is still, like, more impressive here than Killua is. And he would have, and like, he still has less aura output than Gon. Just think about that. Like, all of those advantages in Killua is still, like, it's not a big gap. It's not a big difference. Like, there's so much stuff that is put throughout the story to show you that Gon's potential is greater than Killua's. Like, that really even shouldn't be a debate. Killua's potential is close, but Gon's is greater. That's why it's stated, like, all the time. I mean, think about it like this. When they're fighting Beanault, right? They're fighting Beanault, and at the start of the fight, they say that Beanault was stronger than them both working together at the same time. At that point, Killua had about 9 years of experience. He fought as a, like, from age, he said at age 3, that was when his training started. He's 12, right? So Killua has 9 years of battle experience. Gon has, like, a couple months. He's like, you can literally count every fight Gon's ever had in his whole life up until that point. He's had like 6 fights in his whole life. Killua's probably had hundreds, maybe thousands. And Gon 10 days later is stronger than Killua was at the start of Great Island. It took Gon 10 days of sparring to surpass like almost 10 years of Killua's fighting. Like, King Shadow, there's dialogue in the manga that implies that when Gon was in the Hunter exams and he fought Hisoka, there's some dialogue that implies that was the first fight of his entire life. Like, let me pull that up for you. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. It was like early on. Oh yeah, it was like, might have been chapter 10. Momo, watch out, buddy. Yo. Okay, look at this. So there's this scene. There's this scene here in the Hunter exams where their job is to like knock out a pig. Like, they each basically have to fight one of these pigs. And Gon says to himself, like, this is like the thrill I felt earlier, but it's still not like facing Hisoka. That was a real kicker. Okay, so it's like, you could like, things like this. He's talking about, like, fighting like it's a brand new thing to him. Gon's talking about fighting like it's something he's just experiencing, like, brand new. Like, he's just finding out, oh, throwing hands, this is fun. You could make an argument that, like, in the Hunter exams, this was literally, like, some of the first fights he had ever had in his whole life. Denny 10, you said, Lee, thoughts on Kurapika potential compared to Gon and Killua? It's much smaller. Like, Kurapika is pushing himself way beyond his limits using conditional Nen. King Shadow, you said Gon is faster and stronger than most adults at this point, proving that he had trained himself. That's just because of his DNA, bro. Like he got that strong from playing in the woods. He got that strong from, like, if you like, imagine you have some kids doing Boy Scouts, bro. They don't come back with the strength of like multiple men capable of like catching the Lord of the Lake. Like it Gon could do this because he was born different. That's also why he can like regenerate fast. Like that has nothing to do with training, you know. He's just born different. I think the difference between Killua with a Nen Needle and Killua without a Nen Needle, Killua with a Nen Needle, he fights like an assassin. Killua without it, he fights like a hunter. That's really the only difference. All right, guys. Well, that's enough for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate the comments. And I'll see you guys on the next one.